In just 12 years, one man shattered the largest empire the world had ever seen. He was a military genius tutored by Aristotle, a king who believed he was a god, and a leader whose ambition knew no borders. His legend is so immense it's hard to believe it was real, but it was. This is the story of how a 20-year-old prince from a backwater kingdom conquered the known world. This is the full story of Alexander the Great, in 3 minutes. Alexander was the son of Philip II, the brilliant, ruthless king who transformed Macedonia from a Greek footnote into a military powerhouse. Philip perfected the sarissa-wielding phalanx and unified Greece by force. In this crucible of power, Alexander was forged. He was brilliant, charismatic, and obsessed with the heroes of the Trojan War. He learned philosophy from Aristotle, but his greatest lesson came from his father, that the sprawling, decadent Persian Empire to the east was ripe for conquest. After Philip's assassination, Alexander, at just 20 years old, inherited his father's throne, his army, and his epic ambition. In 334 BC, Alexander crossed into Asia and began a campaign that would never be equaled. He crushed the Persian forces at the Battle of Issus, where the Persian king, Darius III, fled in terror, abandoning his own family. Refusing to chase Darius, Alexander instead marched south, methodically conquering the entire Mediterranean coast. In Egypt, he was not seen as a conqueror, but a liberator. They crowned him pharaoh, and he founded the great city of Alexandria. Finally, at the Battle of Gaugamela, Alexander faced the full might of the Persian army. Outnumbered, he used brilliant tactics to charge directly at Darius, who fled once again. The Persian Empire collapsed. Alexander marched into Babylon, the new king of Asia. But Alexander was not finished. He pushed his exhausted army further east, to the very edges of the known world, reaching India. There, after a brutal battle against war elephants, his loyal but weary soldiers finally mutinied, refusing to go any further. A disappointed Alexander turned back, but during his return to Babylon, after a night of heavy drinking, he fell gravely ill. In 323 BC, Alexander the Great died at the age of 32, having never lost a single battle. He reigned for only 12 years, but his impact was eternal. Alexander's conquests shattered the old world and kicked open the door to a new one. Greek language, art, and ideas flooded across his vast empire, fusing with Eastern cultures to create a vibrant new civilization, the Hellenistic Age. His empire, however, did not survive him. It was immediately torn apart by his warring generals. But as the heirs of Alexander battled for the scraps, a new power was quietly rising in the West, a disciplined, practical city that would take Alexander's lessons and build an empire that would dwarf even his.